Okay. Good morning, everyone. We're continuing with our new series, Count on the Buddha. So I are taking selected teachings from the Anguttara Nikaya, which is the numbered sayings of the Buddha. And this morning I've selected two different topics that are related. The first one is gratitude to parents. Parents are very important. They're the means by which we've been born into this human realm. In Buddhist cosmology, we've got several different realms, ranging from the hell realm, the animal realm, the ghost realm, this human realm, and then several more and more refined heavenly realms. And this human realm is considered the best place to be born because there's a potential for a balance between suffering and ease, so that we, have the bandwidth to be able to do a spiritual practice. If you're in a hell realm, the suffering is just overwhelming. So there's no way. In the animal realm, there's such a concern with who's going to eat me, and you're always, having to be worried, looking around to see if something bigger than you is going to come and get you. And then in the heavenly realms, things are so pleasant and comfortable. There's not the suffering to sort of prick you into developing a spiritual practice. And so this human realm is considered the best place to be reborn. And we need parents for that. We need parents to bring us in. So not everybody can be a monastic. If the world was full of monastics, that'd be the end of human life, because there wouldn't be any parents to bring us into this lifetime. So I'm going to read you a short sutta in the Book of Twos, sutta number 33. It's the chapter on the peaceful mind, and this particular sutta is called Treatment of Parents. Meditators, I say that these two individuals cannot easily be repaid. What two? Mother and father. You would not have done enough to repay your mother and father, even if you were to carry your mother around on one shoulder and your father on the other, and if you lived like this for 100 years, and if you were to anoint, massage, bathe, and rub them, and even if they were to defecate and urinate right there, even if you were to establish your mother and father as supreme monarchs of this great earth, abounding in the seven treasures, you would still not have done enough to repay them. Why is that? Parents are very helpful to their children. They raise them, nurture them, and show them the world. But you have done enough, more than enough, to repay them if you encourage, settle, and ground unfaithful parents in faith, unethical parents in ethical conduct, stingy parents in generosity, or ignorant parents in wisdom. Now, there's a paradox in this teaching, as the Buddha has encouraged us to only share his teachings with those who have invited us to do so. My own parents had passed away before I stumbled across the Dhamma, so I never had an opportunity for that. But the way I've been trying to sort of deal with this paradox with my remaining family members is that when I'm with them, I'm doing my best to be moral, to be kind, to be generous. Um, and it's interesting that on several family occasions, different family members have remarked on my peacefulness or my equanimity. They haven't gone the next step to say, show me how to do that. Because you can sort of hear that bit of longing in their voice. And I guess it hadn't felt appropriate at that moment with whatever was going on to start sharing the Dhamma. But there have been opportunities where family members have been suffering in some way and sharing that. And I've been able to say, would you like me to share something that's been helpful to me? And so that's been able to happen a few times where I've been able to share some aspects of the Dhamma. And then interestingly, last month I got an email out of the blue from a nephew who said, I've started a meditation practice and it's really helpful. So anyway, you do what you can. Um, so this instruction by the Buddha on how to repay our parents can be a very delicate undertaking, where we have to look for windows of opportunity. And then if we do share, to do it with love and compassion, and certainly not from a sense of superiority. Um, and from deeply understanding that we are all the outcome of past causes and conditions in our lives. Now, some children, they're fortunate, they have very loving parents, but not every child has this experience. So many parents have lacked the causes and conditions in their childhood to experience stability and unconditional love. Um, many of our parents have witnessed unskillful ways to deal with difficulties. Things like, dealing with difficulties with drugs and alcohol, anger, violence, silence, depression, anxiety. And then children born into these kinds of households, there's sort of two different responses. One is to see this is not a good way to be, and they make a real effort to try and find a different way of being in the world. Whereas others just get into the habit energy of following the same kind of behavior, sort of, because that's what they were shown. And then in that situation, this sort of generational trauma gets passed down from generation to generation. So anyway, I wanted to share that teaching, but it's not an easy one to follow. So if we have a window of opportunity to repay our parents in the way the Buddha suggested, that's wonderful, but we may not have that opportunity. The second teaching that I wanted to share was the Buddhist teachings on wealth. And this still relates to parents because, of course, he's going to encourage us to share our wealth with our parents. Now, I used quite a few suttas, so I'm just going to show you. I think I brought it up. I didn't. Whoops. Please just give me a moment here.
Just stop the share. The red.
Oh,
Just go there and you'll be good.
okay. Okay, just give me a moment. I'm going to quickly pull up something here. Okay, so here's our website. And if you go under teachings and under miscellaneous, then this is a summary of what I'm going to be talking about today. It says, what does the Buddha say about wealth? So if you're interested in reviewing the material or looking to see where the exact suttas are, they're all listed in this article here on the website. So the first thing the Buddha wants us to do is to obtain our wealth righteously, which is meaning having a livelihood where we're earning our money that's not causing harm to self or others. And then once we have some wealth, which is money left over from covering the basics of shelter, food, clothing, and medicine, and these are the four traditional requisites that us lay people provide for the monastics, then the Buddha says we can use our wealth in three ways: to make ourselves happy, to share with others, and to do good deeds. And he said that this will lead to happiness in this lifetime. To extend this happiness to future lifetimes, the Buddha says to invest in the spiritual wealth of faith, virtuous behavior, generosity, and wisdom. So faith is referring to faith in the Buddha's enlightenment, in his knowledge of human nature, and in him as a teacher. Virtuous behavior is following the 5 precepts. Then there's generosity, and wisdom is the ability to recognize when greed is arising in our mind and to realize it's a defilement, and then to use wisdom power, not willpower, to abandon that greed, and then doing the same thing with the other hindrances. Now, some people decide to become monastics when they decide that they want to devote their lives to the spiritual path. And in that case, the Buddha is encouraging them to let go of sensual pleasures, focusing instead on renunciation. But his advice to us lay people is very different, as shown in this following interaction. So a young man is approaching the Buddha and asking him a question, and he refers to the Buddha as Bhante. Bhante, we are lay people enjoying sensual pleasures, living at home in a house full of children. We use sandalwood from Kasi. We wear garlands, scents, and creams. We receive gold and silver. Let the Blessed One teach us the Dhamma in a way that will lead to our welfare and happiness in this present life and future lives. Then the Buddha replied to the young man that 4 things lead to the welfare and happiness of lay people in this present life. First, being accomplished in initiative, which means we are diligent in our job and able to use sound judgment. Second, being accomplished in protection means thinking, how can I prevent kings, so in this day and age, the government, and thieves from taking my wealth, fire from burning it, floods from sweeping it off, and displeasing heirs from taking it. Next is having good friendships, which means associating with people who are accomplished in faith, in virtuous behavior, generosity, and wisdom. We should engage in discussions with these friends and emulate their qualities and behavior. And then balanced living, which means knowing our income and expenditures and living within our means. The Buddha encourages us to be neither too extravagant or too frugal. If we have a small income, we mustn't live luxuriously. If we have a large income, he's saying we shouldn't live sparingly.
Mhm.
So the life of a monastic and then the life that the Buddha was sharing with this young man are sort of two ends of a continuum. The renunciation of monastics and the enjoyment of sensual pleasures by lay people. But individuals are going to lay on different parts of this continuum, have different degrees of renunciation. The Buddha in another sutta goes on to describe the benefits of legitimate wealth and how to use it. He said we should use it to make ourselves happy. And then here's the connection with the first part I did, to honor and make happy our parents, our spouse, our children, our employees, and friends. And then, as mentioned above, making provisions against losses that could arise from fire, floods, political rulers, thieves, and displeased heirs. I mean, the Buddha is just so practical. Showing respect to our ancestors and spiritual guides, treating our relatives and guests with respect and respecting the rules of our government. And then he's talking about supporting monastics, but he gives not any monastics. Monastics should have these qualities. We support monastics who refrain from intoxication and heedlessness, who are patient and mild, who are tamed of the hindrances and calm and are training for awakening. In another sutta, he describes what we must do to maintain our wealth once we have obtained it. So first of all, if we lose things, seek what is lost. If things are falling apart, repair what is decrepit. Be moderate in our eating and drinking, and elect virtuous leaders. So I'm going to end with how the Buddha categorized and ranked sort of what people do with wealth. So first of all, he divides people into three categories. Number one, did they gain their wealth righteously? Number two, were they in between? Did they gain it both righteously and unrighteously? Mm-hmm. And then number three, did they gain it fully righteously? And then with each of these groups, he then divides each group into another three categories. So those that are happy and pleased with their wealth, but don't share it with others and don't do good deeds. Those who are not happy and pleased with their wealth and also don't share it with others or do good deeds. And then those who are happy and pleased with their wealth and do share it with others and do good deeds. And then this final group of people, he divides into two groups. Those who are tied to their wealth and blindly absorbed by it, and then those who aren't. So the Buddha concludes that the most praiseworthy are those who obtain their wealth righteously, are happy and pleased with their wealth, share it with others, do good deeds, and are not tied to their wealth and blindly absorbed by it. Okay. That's what I wanted to share about those teachings from the Buddha in the Anguttara Nikaya.